Good morning and welcome to Arise News Now. I'm Gavin Ramshawn in London. It's Friday the 5th of July and our top story at this hour, Egypt bracing for more protests after Friday prayers this afternoon. Supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi have been massing at Cairo's Rabaa Mosque. Less than half an hour away, a small group of the demonstrators who pushed for him to go are still in Tahrir Square. Egypt's highest prosecutor is calling for the release of all political prisoners jailed during Morsi's failed term of office. And the head of the Muslim Brotherhood, the party Morsi belonged to, is under arrest. The Muslim Brotherhood says Egypt is on the brink of becoming a police state. Mana Rabi reports.
Tables turned. Egypt's highest prosecutor on Thursday called for the release of political prisoners who were held during the rule of the now embattled Muslim Brotherhood.
It is not fair and it is unjust that the revolutionaries stay in jails and those who incited and encouraged their imprisonment remain outside of prison.
General Abdel Miguel Mahmoud also called for a wider crackdown against the Muslim Brotherhood movement. But the spokesman for the Brotherhood warned that Egypt was on the brink of becoming a police state after the arrest of its leader hours earlier.
We put full responsibility on every person that participated in that coup and empowered it to happen.
Near Cairo University, tensions remained high. Under a heavy military presence, supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi continued their sit-in. It's not about the man, they said, but the democratic process.
I am not part of any political party, but I will not let go of the legitimacy, even if this comes at the cost of my blood and the blood of everyone here.
At least 16 people have been killed and hundreds wounded in street clashes across Egypt since Morsi's overthrow.
We'll have continuing coverage of the situation in Egypt throughout the day today and a roundup on the day's news at 1 p.m. GMT on the Arise News Hour and at 4 p.m. GMT on the Late Edition. Now, Nelson Mandela's wife, Graça Machel, has offered an update on the anti-apartheid hero's condition. Machel says her husband is rarely in pain but may sometimes be uncomfortable. Deborah Gambara reports.
A rare public appearance by Nelson Mandela's wife, Graça Machel. She offered an update on the former South African president's condition.
Although Madiba sometimes may be uncomfortable, very few times he is in pain, but he is fine. I think the best gift which he has given to this nation again is the gift of unity.
Speaking at the launch of Nelson Mandela Sport and Culture Day 2013, she thanked the public for their support.
The outpouring and humbling demonstrations of love, of care, of support, of hope are taken into our hearts every single day.
Well-wishers have gathered outside his Pretoria hospital every day since he was admitted with a recurrent lung infection more than 3 weeks ago.
We really miss him. We want to see his smile. We want to hear his words, especially as we're heading towards his birthday. We hope by then he'll be at home so that all of us were able to celebrate with him.
Mandela is due to mark his 95th birthday on the 18th of July. Tina Millman, Arise News.
Well, Shahan Ramkissoon is one of our reporters in South Africa. He's been following Mandela's condition closely for the past month. He joins us now from our Johannesburg studio. Shahan, what's the latest on Mr. Mandela's health? Lots of contradictory stuff coming out from the exhumation report.
Well, the presidency came out late last night to say that Nelson Mandela is still in a critical but stable condition. They've rubbished reports which have said that he is in a state of vegetation. So they felt the need to actually come out once again yesterday. You know that they initially released a statement saying he was critical but stable. And then late last night, once this report emerged, they came out again saying that it's not true and he's not on life support or in a state of vegetation. So the contradictions allegations there are quite evident. Now, you do know that that information about him being in a state of vegetation emerged from an AFP report which say they found the court papers filed by the Nelson Mandela family regarding the gravesite saga. And they said that they wanted this matter to be heard urgently because of Nelson Mandela's condition. And they used the word in a vegetative state. But of course, the presidency saying it's absolute rubbish.
What has the reaction to the situation been?
Well, you know, lots of people are unhappy about this. The South African government especially saying that no one should be talking about Nelson Mandela's condition, especially since there's a doctor-patient confidentiality clause which has been breached. The South African public, of course, was quite surprised with this information, especially given the fact that Graça Machel came out yesterday, and we do know that she's been at Nelson Mandela's bedside for the past couple of weeks. She was at a press conference and said that he's doing well and that he is uncomfortable and in pain at times, but he is doing much better and he is responsive.
So on the exhumation court case, what's the reaction to that been like?
Well, this is turning even more ugly. The family really is getting into it here. Mandla Mandela held that press conference yesterday, which we were reporting on all afternoon. But really, he said that he didn't want to air the family's dirty laundry. But he did just that. He went as far as picking on his aunt Makaziwe, saying that she's trying to sow divisions within the family. And then also picked on his brothers, saying that they're trying to get him out as chief of Mvezo, and also accused one of his other brothers of impregnating one of his wives. So it really is getting personal and really ugly on that front. But the family seems to be going nowhere in terms of reconciliation, which is what Nelson Mandela stood for.
Lots of rifts going on there within the family, as you just said. So what's the legal process now for what happens next?
Well, in terms of the exhumation, that's done and dusted. It has been moved to Qunu. It's been reburied there. But we do know that there is a criminal case being investigated against Mandla Mandela for grave tampering. Still no word on whether the South African Police Service will go to the prosecuting authority and see whether they want to take him to court and charge him with that. We're still waiting for word on that. But as far as Nelson Mandela's family entirely, Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop, has come out quite strongly against them, saying that he's asking for peace in the family and says they need to stop it and get over this because it's like spitting in the face of Nelson Mandela.
Shahan Ramkissoon in Johannesburg, thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, voters in Zimbabwe will be going to the polls at the end of the month. That's after the country's constitutional court ruled the general election should go ahead as planned on the 31st of July. Both President Robert Mugabe and the opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai had petitioned for a delay to the vote. Tsvangirai argued more time was needed to prepare for a free and fair election. Last month, his party warned the electoral roll was a shambles and the vote would be vulnerable to rigging. There's a diplomatic storm brewing between Kenya and Somalia after a private email was accidentally sent to the Somali president's entire press contact list. The email from the Somali Foreign Affairs Minister was meant for the African Union. It accuses the Kenyans, who are part of the AU peacekeeping force in the country, of not being neutral peacekeepers and fueling factional infighting. It says Kenyan military incompetence caused the recent violence in the southern port city Kismayo that left 65 dead and hundreds injured. Now, still a big question mark over where fugitive US whistleblower Edward Snowden will go next. Snowden is spending a second week in the transit zone of Moscow's international airport, and many of the 20 or so countries he's approached for asylum have turned him down. Deborah Gambara reports.
While 4th of July celebrations were underway at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, Edward Snowden is believed to have spent the day at the airport, his temporary home, while he searches for a country to grant him asylum. Complicating matters for the former intelligence analyst who leaked details about the U.S.'s surveillance program is the fact that Washington is warning governments that accepting him could damage relations. A point that didn't seem to concern Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who earlier in the week said Snowden deserves protection.
The government of the United States presented to our foreign ministry as we were flying in a scrap of paper requesting the extradition of the young Snowden. They do not have the moral right to request the extradition of a young man who is only warning of the illegalities committed by the Pentagon and the CIA and the United States. As head of state, I reject any request for extradition. They are simply disregarding bilateral agreements.
Some expect Snowden to approach Venezuela for asylum in the coming days. His requests to other countries, including Germany, Poland, Brazil, and Italy, have been rejected, while others say a query would have to be made in person. Another challenge for Snowden, whose passport has been revoked.
Now, with the baby of Prince William and Kate due to be born in just a few weeks' time, speculation is mounting in Britain over what the baby will be called. Many people have even placed bets on which name will be chosen. Ruben Easy has the story.
What's in a name? Well, if you're third in line to the British throne, quite a lot. With Kate Middleton, aka the Duchess of Cambridge, in the latter stages of her pregnancy, Britons are speculating on what she and her husband Prince William will name their baby. Many are even staking money on it.
This is the biggest novelty betting event we have ever seen in this country. Punters are going wild for it. We've had over 25,000 individual bets, whether it be the name, what day Kate will give birth on, what the sex of the baby is, how Kate gives birth, where Kate gives birth, what future profession the baby will have, like what colour hair it will have.
The majority view is that the couple are going to have a girl. This is after the Duchess was rumoured to have let slip to a member of the public that a daughter was on the way, even though officially they've said they don't know the baby's sex. And with a British name more or less compulsory, the leading candidates are all solidly traditional.
The royals, are not very imaginative when it comes to names. They sort of just use the same names every few centuries, so to speak. So no surprise really see Alexandra, Elizabeth, Diana, Charles, William, Philip, all those sorts of names dominating the betting. But at the moment, Alexandra is the favourite, but heavily punted is Elizabeth, obviously after the Queen and William's grandmother at the moment.
But with Will and Kate already seen as having shaken up the royal family's stuffy image, not everyone is ruling out a more contemporary choice.
There has been a tradition of certain royal names which they could choose from. But, I mean, I don't know, they're quite a modern couple. Kate and Will are definitely carving their own path as royals, so undoubtedly they will continue to do that and carve their own path as parents. And I wouldn't count out surprise baby names, but within reason.
The arrival of the baby is due to be announced outside Buckingham Palace shortly after the birth. But what it's called may not be made public until several days later. Only then will royal fans know whether they've accurately predicted the name of a future queen or king.
At the Wimbledon Tennis Championships, all eyes will be on centre court today as the men's semi-finals take place. Great Britain is hoping Andy Murray can become the first male champion since 1936. He plays big-serving Jerzy Janowicz just after world number one Novak Djokovic faces Juan Martín del Potro. Elsewhere, it was a dramatic day in the women's draw. Marion Bartoli and Sabine Lisicki booked their places in the final of the championship. Lisicki beating Agnieszka Radwanska in 3 sets, the final one by 9-7. She was delighted to be in the final and becomes the first German to make the final since Steffi Graf in 1999.
I've been dreaming about that since I'm a little girl, and that's why I said it's the best place to play my first Grand Slam final. I couldn't imagine any better place, and I just can't wait to play Saturday.
And finally, in the summer months, what better way to cool off than a lovely swim? But anyone wanting water on this beach in China will be left disappointed. The sea at the resort town of Qingdao has been blanketed with thick green algae. Many swimmers are undeterred though. Some even say it has a health benefit. But authorities aren't so keen on the colour green and have started a huge clean-up operation. So far, 19,000 tonnes of the non-toxic algae has been removed, but it's not going to waste and is being turned into fertiliser. Well, that's all we've got time for now. Don't forget you can contact us online anytime. In the meantime, we'll keep you up to date throughout the day. Thanks for watching.